The greatest day in golf, it might be around here. I don't know where they came up with this one, but you'll want to be in it, I'm telling you. I'm still perplexed over the amount of resources that are being invested in this incredible new idea called the greatest day of golf at the Preserve here in Rhode Island. Their new pro, the owner, their key sponsor of an event that'll be nationally televised from Rhode Island that you can get involved in and win $1 million with. Oh, my goodness. It's exciting. There's a lot of exciting news these days. I mean, it's good because we need to think about spring because it has been one heck of a winter, and I don't need to tell you that. Welcome into My State of Mind. I am Dan York. It is a pleasure to have you aboard, and I've got a lot to do here, so let's get into the rundown tonight. Yes, Larry Lucchino speaks, and I think he brings a little bit of clarity to some of the process of how the Paw Sox are now talking about moving to Providence. The Speaker of the House, on a completely different matter, shows how touchy he really can be. He's reacting to a statement by the governor. She was right, and he's thin-skinned. The NEA, once again, deciding that they just don't want to be a constructive teachers union. They just want to get involved and encourage parents to do something that they really have no reason or business doing. I'll explain my thoughts on that. And Twin River is going to build that hotel. They're going through the local processes, and I told you so, and I told you so. So I'll explain it to you and tell you so. Of course, your state of mind is important to us, as always. I'd like to hear what you have to think. Not just the radio from noon to 3 on WPRO, where we had some pretty interesting conversation about the Paw Sox deal. So let's begin with that today. Larry Lucchino speaks. The Providence Journal got an interview down there in Florida with Lucchino. The big headline, new owners mulling the stadium options, and that is the piece of land and the 195 redevelopment parcel that they are looking at. There's a timeline that was discussed in the right-hand story there. And let me just read a little bit of this to you. On Monday, Tim Britton writes, new Paw Sox team president Jim Skeffington proposed a timeline that would see a new downtown ballpark in Providence by April 2017. Lucchino characterized that as ambitious. And I think that's important because this notion that people think that this thing is being shoved down our throats is not necessarily so. And then he talks about, you should read the story, he talks about the unusual opportunity in the Northeast to have this kind of land available and the right kind of chemistry, ownership, affiliation, all of that. It's an important piece to read. John Henry was asked about it at an event yesterday.
I think the people involved, Larry, Skeff, and everyone involved are really passionate about what the Paw Sox could become and should be. They should be a model AAA franchise.
Well, they've been a model AAA franchise, and I think we need to make that point. Ben Mondor created a model AAA franchise. Unfortunately, the modernity pressure is taking this to another place. You also should read the stories in the Journal today because they show Madeline Mondor, the widow of Ben Mondor, having difficulty figuring out what she's going to do with this major asset and trying to get the Red Sox engaged in a conversation with her. It's important that you see that chronology and perspective. In the meantime, the governor was asked by Steve Klampkin of WPRO Radio News today what her take was on this, and I thought it was actually right on the money.
I'd like to see us keep it in Rhode Island. It's part of who we are. And if we do it right, you know, my job as governor will be to structure a deal that's good for the state. And we're going to do our due diligence. We're going to make sure that this state gets a good deal for all the people. But if we can get a deal that financially makes sense, it's also good for economic development.
Sure. And it may be, you know, it may be in rhythm with what 195 is supposed to be. By the way, God did not come down and write in the Gospels that 195 has to be meds and eds. It's a plot of land that was left there because we moved the highway. And a little versatility and a little flexibility might be exactly what the doctor ordered around here. Taxpayer investment by cash? Land acquisition allowance? Sure. Entrepreneurs build their own facility? Yay. So keep your eye on that formula. We'll see how it actually plays out. Speaking of the governor, she was in Washington, yesterday, day before, and she was talking at a forum, and some guy from Rhode Island who's relocated starts asking her questions about the corruption factor, that the governor's position is actually very weak, and the General Assembly actually cooks the books all the time, and she kind of commiserated. Look at this.
Could too long, what's happened in Rhode Island, and it may happen in other state houses, is the governor proposes a budget, and then the General Assembly takes the budget, and often in the dark of night in a quiet room, the lobbyists and the General Assembly get together and they hack it up every which way, and out pops a budget. And that's bad for everybody, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, and she's absolutely right about that. That's historically been the way the thing works. Well, oh, Nick Mattiello, we were very upset about that. The headline that came from this little utterance. Governor's got to be careful. You know, sometimes you go out of town and you think because you went out of town, nobody's listening. No matter what you say where, people at home are going to find out what you had to say. Now, she's under fire by the Speaker of the House. He took umbrage. You got to read the story. Very upset, talking about transparency, that the governor actually works in more secret than the General Assembly does. Oh, for crying out loud. Nick, you know what? Grow a little thick skin. Recognize that the General Assembly's historical process has stunk the joint out, and work to improve it. Be a big boy. Next item. The NEA not being very constructive here is absolutely my sentiment. The Providence Journal headline. Here was Deb Gist, the outgoing Ed Commissioner, with me last week talking about this standardized testing controversy.
I hope that perhaps there will begin to be an awareness about that, that we can start to see people coming to a conversation and saying, what is it that we're both trying to accomplish, and then working through the differences about how to get there. But also ultimately, once that decision is made, then everyone needs to support it.
And she's reacting to the rug being pulled right out from everybody's feet back last summer when the standardized tests that were required for graduation were nullified by Nick Mattiello, the House Speaker, and the General Assembly. It was one of the worst days the General Assembly's ever had, as far as I'm concerned. Remember, she's leaving, not because of that, she says, but for opportunity in Tulsa. But my friend Bob Walsh needs a new visit here. He's the NEA Executive Director. I got to ask him a question. Why in heaven's name would the National Education Association now recommend that parents be able to opt out for their kids on these standardized tests? In other words, mommy calls the principal and says, I don't want Janie to take the standardized test. Why? Well, I just don't want her to. Why? Well, I just don't want her to. Why? There's no downside because there's no requirement for performance on it right now. It's a method to gauge your own kids' performance, the teacher's performance, the school's performance, the district's performance, the state's performance, and these knuckleheads at the NEA have decided, well, you know what, it's just another way for us to beat down the concept of standardized testing because accountability is just not their bag. Listen, mommy, daddy, if you call the principal or the teacher and ask for your kids to opt out, you're a stinking lousy parent. There's no reason for it. Got my motor running today a little bit, I guess. All right, Twin River. Don't be insulted by that. I was just being figurative. Seriously, why would you do that? Twin River is going to build a hotel. The chairman was at the Lincoln Town Council last night to try to make the groundwork pleasant for this idea.
We've always said that any conversation about a hotel should start here, and necessarily we had to come here first. We've had a great collaborative working relationship with the town of Lincoln for many years now, and we value that relationship.
Yeah, well, that's good. They did. Listen, I told you they needed a hotel a long time ago. They'll go through the proper hoops. They're not going to ask anybody else to pay for it. Of course, all in all, we're all kind of invested together, right? As the pressure of economics and casino business from Massachusetts starts to crawl in on us. There will be a hotel at Twin River. It's no big deal. Lincoln will get in a couple more bucks. Everything will be fine. All right, your state of mind is important. Call us at 228-1886. Email us, Facebook post, tweet at us. And a gentleman from Central Falls reacts to Mayor Diosa being here last night.
I was watching Mr. Diosa last night on your show. I've been working in Central Falls for the last 6 years, and so I was with here for the previous administration and his. And I've got to agree with everything that he was saying. You really do see a change. The criminal elements have been removed from the streets. The city is cleaner, and so I can visibly see the difference. I'm here every day.
From Burrowville. but spends time in Central Falls. Good. You know what? It's okay to say good things about the community, to see progress, and to pat a politician on the back every once in a while. It's okay. You can do it. Paul just did. When we come back, I got to get my swing ready. There's $1 million on the line. I had a call the other day from Troy Perry. I'm thinking, well, it ain't to play golf because A, it's cold, and B, I'm not good enough to hang with him. So thinking, what is this all about? And this is what it's all about. He is now operating at the Preserve Golf Course, which I have not had the opportunity to play, in southern Rhode Island. But this is, I don't even know how you can come up with an idea this magnificent. It almost feels too good to be true. How are you, Troy?
I'm doing great, Dan. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming on in. And you brought your chairman. And Paul, see, I practice my holidays.
There you go.
All right. Good to see you, Mr. Chairman.
Nice
of the
to see
Preserve.
you. Thank you.
Before I talk to Troy, the Preserve is what kind of a place right now? It's multifaceted, correct?
Yeah, so it's a 4-season resort where there's hiking, biking, cross-country skiing, ATV, snowmobiling, and a whole host of activities to include sporting clays, the hunting of birds, fly fishing, and we also have this wonderful 18-hole golf course.
It's right on 138?
It is. It was formerly the old Foxwoods Golf and Country Club. We repositioned the asset, got rid of the old golf course, built a brand new Robert McNeil designed golf course with NMP Golf, and created a whole new venue in golf and, you know, playability of golf.
And it's got some unique versatility to it, right, Troy? It's, so you're the pro there now, correct?
I am.
You moved from the very famous Wannamoisett, where you were there for how long?
9 years.
Wow, all right. So I mean, everybody in golf knows who you are. We've played together.
We have played
Not
together.
that bad. I had a bad day when I was with
Hey,
him.
you can play in the tournament.
Well, anybody can play in the tournament.
That's why you can play.
Yeah, I mean, the other day we're at the golf show. I bumped by with my wife to his booth. He starts talking to my wife, and I make the mistake of saying, "Well, you got to get the ball in the air, honey." By the way, I paid the price for that. That was not.
I heard the comments.
That
I should
was
have.
that was not good. Really versatile golf course, though. Unique in its own way.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Tell me.
It's unique in the fact that it can be played in 2 ways, Dan. It's either a 9-hole par 34 golf course, or you can play it as 18 par 3s. It's designed that way to utilize the space that we have out there, and it ended up being a wonderful, wonderful design.
So, for those of you who don't follow this, a 9-hole par 34 is kind of Wannamoisett in its par 4-ishness. In other words, it's a standard 9 holes. You've got some lengthy holes,
correct.
par 4s. Are there par 5s on it?
Yes.
Okay. But then you can change it to an 18-hole upscale executive, or there's a difference between executive and par 3.
Executive would be short of par 4, short of par 3, so it's just a traditional par 3 golf course.
Championship 18-hole par 3 layout.
That's correct.
All right, so who came up with this brilliant idea of putting all this dough into incentive and televising and getting Benris involved? And we'll have Gio on soon here. What? How does that
I can't say that it's one person. It's definitely a collective group. We started with an idea, and the idea just spawned. The more people you get into a room, the more the idea seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And in a short span of time, it's been amazing what we've been able to pull it off.
So at its essence, you're doing what?
So this is an 18-hole stroke play golf tournament on June 18th. So that event it's going to be very unique because it's open to anybody. Meaning a typical open is someone who has a 4.0 index or better. So that's generally the really good golfers. This event is open to any player, man, woman. If you have a great junior player, it doesn't matter. No handicap required. 20 handicapper, scratch golfer, you all can compete on the same level for the first time. We got some very, very unique prizes for the event as well. So we have a professional purse of $100,000, one-day tournament for $100 grand. Sign me up right now.
Every club pro and every mini tour pro, and gosh knows who else might say, no, I think I'll go home. Faxon could show up for this one, right?
Every one of them is going to show up.
You think?
Yeah. Now for the amateurs,
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
what are you going to do in the tournament? What do you want to do in the tournament? So what we've offered you is an opportunity at $1 million at all 18 par 3s in the finals on June 18th.
18 chances to knock it in.
Every single par 3 is worth $1 million.
Dude, I have 2 holes in one.
You just need one at the right time.
I just, yeah. You know,
At the right
what are you
event.
laughing at?
Well, I just need one at the right event at the right time.
Well,
It's better than the lottery.
Yeah.
One in 2,100.
can you imagine the one I did in the club's 4-day? It's $500 on the tee that day. The next day they put $15,000 on the tee box. I'm like, wait a second, what's wrong
Doesn't
with
work.
that picture? But you know, I don't think I want to win the million. I don't want to lose my amateur status.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So we got to take a step back to how do we get into the tournament. So if you're not exempt, there's a small exempt list for the event on June 18th.
Okay.
We've got to go through qualifiers. We have 5 qualifying dates up on our website. It's thepreserveopen.com. In the qualifiers, we're also going to give you, the amateurs, an opportunity at $10,000 on every single par 3. So even if you don't make the finals, you still have an opportunity to win some serious money.
You make the finals by your stroke play score.
Correct.
So it's a competitive tournament.
That's correct.
But you could have an awful day, knock one in by accident, and win $10,000.
It's really a very unique opportunity because the amateurs generally don't get to win any kind of money in a tournament without losing their amateur status.
Right.
But for a hole-in-one prize, the change was made somewhere around 2008. You no longer lose your amateur status for a hole-in-one.
There you
You can
go.
win $1 million. You could win $2 million, and you don't lose your amateur status.
This will bring a lot of people to your facility. Obviously, it's a brilliant marketing move, but it's not all golf. So that's pretty cool, right?
Right. So a lot of what the Preserve has to offer is really the whole outdoor luxury experience. And that's why the partnership with Benris was so good, because they're a lifestyle brand. You know, being out at the Preserve, while it is a private exclusive facility, we hope to expand it to grow, to have, you know, homes and build a hotel facility and such, so that the model can really expand and have it so that everybody can enjoy it. We envision it being 2 segments, a private segment and a public segment.
Okay. It's pretty heady to make this kind of investment in a piece of property these days. You know, a lot of people are naysayers on growth in Rhode Island and everything else. You know, what's your thought on that?
So I'm native grown Rhode Island. I love Rhode Island. I've been developing and investing in Rhode Island for the last 30 years. The Preserve is everything that I love as it relates to the outdoors and all the outdoor activities. And I really wanted to have a wonderful place that a group of people could come and enjoy. So the concept, coming from where we were in the golf business, is a model that I want to duplicate across the country. I just wanted to start in Rhode Island, where, you know, most comfortable here. You know, we know everybody in the community, we're accepted, and I think our reputation speaks towards us, and that's the reason why we decided to make this investment, which is a very large investment.
Well,
in the
it's
state of
brilliant,
Rhode
I think, you know, in a lot of ways. You know why it's brilliant. You're going to get a lot of attention for the facility via this on television. Like, we'll talk about that when we come back. Good luck with the business. We're going to meet the main sponsor. Troy's going to give you a golf tip before we're done. You know, we've had Giovanni Perosi on the program when he exited Alex Anani, and then, you know, hinted at his new business. That was the last time I had him on. Troy Perry, of course, who's at the Preserve as a pro with this incredible golf tournament they're running. Now, Benris is the main sponsor for it. You were good to see you again.
I see as well.
You were, you know, kind of careful about last time we came on board here and talked about your exit.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, this Benris thing comes out of nowhere. Only you could decide that you're going to do something larger in life again and tackle a concept that no one else would think about. Tell me about what Benris is all about right now.
Well, you know, basically we resurrected an American iconic brand, originally just a watch company from 1921 until 1977. And I decided that it had the potential to be a full lifestyle brand. So we've spent the better part of, I can't believe it's only 200 days, but within those days, creating you know, apparel and accessories. We opened our first store in Rochester, New York, just last Thursday. Charleston, South Carolina will be coming online next month, followed by Washington, D.C., and then Newport.
Feels like the Alex Anani model. I mean,
I'm a retailer, you know, so at the end of the day, that's what I know, so that's what I like to get involved with. And at the heart of it all is I like to build brands that reflect a marketing identity. In other words, you use marketing to really thrust the company into the forefront, as opposed to operations or sales. And so, you know, my goal is to ensure that everyone knows what Benris is and, you know, feels good about it. That's what it comes down to.
Full disclosure, Giovanni and I have done business together as well, and he has sponsored my my company's events in high school basketball, just in case you're wondering. Yes, that's true. I'm upfront about everything. But you know, we had a pretty, I think, intense conversation about your exit from Alex Nunn. It was journalistically based, and I wouldn't hesitate to ask you some tough questions. At the same time, things are okay when people take good chances, and you talk about that in your marketing campaign here. Like, have some rocks a little bit, right? I mean, that's really kind of your theme.
Well, I think we have to. If you look at where our country is, where our state is, you have to do bold things. I mean, it's interesting because the preserve is really called the preserve at Boulder Hills. So although it's spelled differently, I can't help but notice that it says bold, and that's what we have to do. I'm excited about a lot of things that are going on in Rhode Island, but at the end of the day, you have to understand statistics. So as long as you're willing to take big swings, every once in a while you're going to really hit one.
You play any golf?
I'm one of those guys that golfs occasionally, but I've been fortunate to golf at some of the best places. So as long as they put up with me, I show up once in a while.
Yeah, he's got anything going on? He's got a good swing?
He's got a little game.
He's disqualified though from winning $1 million, isn't he? As a sponsor.
Why?
I want one less guy in the tournament.
You don't know what we have for the sponsors.
It's exciting to have a Benris involved in this. Benris is a local company with a national model, growth. You're getting this thing advertised on what? ESPN? I mean, or broadcast? What's the broadcast schedule for the Preserve Open?
The broadcast schedule will be, we're going to have this event televised on NESN and on ESPN.
In a tape delay basis?
Correct.
That's pretty huge.
It's very huge. It's very huge for not only for us, but for obviously to have Benris as a sponsor as well.
So, in essence, you've got this from scratch phenomenal idea. You've got the new from scratch company that is moving fast, sponsoring it, and you're going to catch, I think, a wave of golfer interest that maybe hasn't been around in a long time. I mean, listen, you know the environment here. Golf's a little down, right? It's a little down. So you're gonna inject a little bit of enthusiasm into everybody with this thing.
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. We're injecting that enthusiasm into all golfers, not just the really good players that can participate in the state open or state am.
This will be a classic. I bet you'll be really happy if some 36 hack handicap knocks one in for 10 G's and then knocks one in for $1 million. Then, right?
We will love it.
Huh?
We will absolutely love it.
Oh my gosh!
I'll tell you, I can see it happening. Statistically, who knows? It might or might not happen this year, but if it becomes what I know it will be, an annual event, it's something that'll put Rhode Island on the map, put the preserve on the map, put the event on the map. When I was first approached with this, what I thought of was all the non-mainstream kind of sports or what have you, let's call them events. And the one that I related to the most was the World Series of Poker and stuff like that. People are paying $10,000. They're trying to win $1 million.
But
in this case, you're putting up $250, and who knows? It can happen. 18 chances.
Right. Good luck with the sponsorship.
Thank you so much.
We'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Good luck with this, and we'll check back before the big day.
Thank
okay?
you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Last word when we come back. I didn't get to the golf tip because, just got immersed, but I can promise you that we'll have one more discussion about this $1 million chance for all of us before it happens. You have a great night. See you on the radio at noon on WPRO tomorrow. Bye-bye.